Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Football Clowns Anonymous. We are here today with your current host, or the host of today, Kurtis Pinkney. I am joined with my co-clown, Ren Smith.
Skull Vikings.
It's a little sadder tone today, given
little less excited for 5-1, but if you're going to lose to a team, that's the team you got to lose to.
Right. I am a little sad I did not get to watch that game. I was watching the score updates from my perch in the Highmark Stadium at the Bills game, and I was every time I saw the score change, I just received a little bit more confirmation that I wish I was watching that game instead of the one I was watching.
Your game was sad, and then it was really exciting, and then it was boring as hell. But
yes.
We did, just to get it out there, I did receive from Kurtis's wife a video of one of Kurtis's best friends going through a table at this tailgate. So I got to ask, can you describe to me, because I've never done this, the experience of tailgating at a Buffalo Bills game? You see stuff, you see shit on the internet.
Can
you tell me what that was and what that was like?
It was also my first tailgate experience, period. It was pretty sweet. I mean, we got out to the tailgate probably about 8:30, and there were cars parked in the middle of the road just waiting to get into the parking lot at the stadium. The parking lots are already starting to fill up. We were walking to the group of folks that we were hanging out with, and you can look at the trash cans, and bottles, plural, were empty and inside of those trash cans. So you can get a general feel for the state of inebriation for folks at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. It was cool. I will say it was probably more tame than other tailgating events, given that we were playing the lowly Titans, not a division game, game that the Bills were expected to have a nice little cakewalk experience. Which, the first quarter there was a little iffy. Things were looking a little crazy for a sec, but then, about halfway through the second quarter, they got their shit together. And as you mentioned, it got boring pretty quick as they took over. But overall, it was a really fun day. A lot of friends and family. Like Ren said, my boy flew in, and he just had to get the full experience and wanted to go through a table. I made sure there was a table available for him to go through, and we made it happen. Nothing got broken. He did take it on,
except for the table.
Except for the table, of course. Yeah, he's a bigger guy, and the table was the cheapest one I could find. So I would hope it folded. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a cool experience.
Yeah. I would be interested, like a playoff game or something like that. Can you imagine just the amount of shenaniganery?
I can imagine a Bills-Dolphins game with a probably going to be playing Tua.
That's actually a really interesting point that you bring up there, because my co-clown Kurtis and I have purchased tickets for the Bills and Dolphins game on Sunday, November 2nd. Sunday, November 3rd. Coming up here in just a couple weeks. So
interesting.
Now that you point out the whole Tua coming back thing, I was thinking about it from a betting standpoint, but suddenly you take a look at that game, it looks a little different than than it did when Tua's not playing.
Yeah, I mean the implications within the division probably not that crazy, because the Dolphins, the Bills seem to be running away with the division at the moment, but it will check the box of being a division rivalry. And I would imagine if Tua's playing, it'll be a lot more entertaining than a blowout to the, beating up on the lowly Titans, who started Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, if the Dolphins are starting some scrub, it would look a lot like probably the Bills and Titans game 100%. That you just watched, yes. And that would be really disgusting for you to have to see that multiple times.
Right,
the same carbon copy.
Right, and to be honest, I was a little concerned that was what was going to happen. So when I saw the news that Tua is looking like he's going to play, this week against the Cardinals, I think they have. Your boy's hyped, because if he's got a chance this week, he's a full go for that Bills game.
Oh, absolutely. This is very exciting.
assuming he doesn't get another concussion, of course, which
That
he could probably get flicked in the forehead, and it'd probably happen at this point.
that's you're probably not off base. Yeah, so that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. And we've got a couple of games going on right now. I don't have the streams pulled up right now, but last I saw, the Ravens were up 14-10 over the Bucks, and
17-10, and as they went into halftime, they got a field goal off.
Got it. And they get the ball first. And has there been any scoring in the Cardinals-Chargers game?
Chargers have scored a field goal,
Okay.
but otherwise a lot of nothing from both teams up to this point.
Got it. Yeah, I gotta ask. I mean, it's not you that has to answer for this, but I'm annoyed that we're getting these double headers that are overlapping with each other. Why are these primetime games not separate from each other?
I don't quite understand it myself. I'm not a huge fan of the double Monday night offset thing, especially since I'm on the East Coast now. If I was still Mountain Time, whatever. But the game starting at 9 o'clock, can't do it, bro. I got singular kid. I was gonna say kids. I've got a child. Your boy got work in the morning. This is kind of ridiculous. I am thankful that they had the decency to put the Ravens Bucks as the normal game, if you will. Because
the 8:15 kickoff,
right?
You mean you don't want to participate in a 9 p.m. kickoff with your child at home?
It's not a super appealing thought to me at the moment. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking from experience. I have the same situation as far as kids go, but the nice thing is the Mountain Time was a great time, or I should say is, for me, a great time to watch sports. Out east they must start just too late. 1 p.m. for I'm getting mad because my kid woke me up at like 4 a.m. on Sunday, and I had to wait till 7:30 for the London game, but that's not every week. Can you imagine having to wait till 11? Oh Lord, what about waiting till 1? Man, yeah, that's crazy.
It's pretty awful, but what can you do?
Yep.
I will say though, the Ravens Bucks game is kind of sort of living up to the hype. Mike Evans left with an injury, which is a little disappointing because you want to see both teams go the distance with the full squad. I mean, the Bucks on their first drive made it look really easy, and then their second drive they got a field goal, and they've kind of sputtered out a little bit after that. But they're showing signs of life. They're putting up a fight at least. I definitely still see the Ravens winning. I mean, obviously they're up 17-10 at the moment, and they're getting things figured out on their side as well. Defensively, they picked off Mayfield a couple times, so if he keeps throwing picks into the second half, that's things might get ugly, but we'll see.
Baker Mayfield is such a gunslinger. He's just, he's going to make that big play, and he's going to make that big mistake. He's got that Josh Allen, Brett Favre type of quarterback template going for him. Right. But he makes it exciting to watch, though. I mean, we've talked about on some previous episodes some of these rumbles that he does down the field where he just trucks a linebacker or something like that to fall forward for an extra yard or two. Like, if you played on his team, can you not imagine just getting fired up for that?
You have to. It's got to be an automatic thing. It's got to be like the special ability if you play as Baker Mayfield in a video game. Fire up the teams doing by trucking somebody over the middle of the field.
Just the opposite of the quarterback slide.
Yes.
the quarterback stiff arm, the quarterback shoulder check in the next week. Oh man.
Did you want to say a few words about your dynasty team before we move on?
I just got a small amount to get off my chest. I mean, we reserved the very first few minutes of this podcast for complaining about our football endeavors. My dynasty team is going to be 1-6. I don't think I've scored triple digits more than once this year. My receivers are all scrubs. Cortland Sutton has a good matchup. You click his name, you click Cortland Sutton. It's like, got a great matchup. No targets. Devontae Smith. Eagles put up 28 points. Devontae Smith has negative receiving yards. What do I have to do to have a good team? I mean, Jalen Hurts showed out for me. Javonte Williams played well for me. Josh Downs with Anthony Richardson at quarterback, all of a sudden, scrub. You can't expect much more from him with that type of quarterback play. Dak was on a bye, so I started Tyler Huntley. Yeah, that's what the
Benched.
waiver wire's like. That's what the waiver wire's like in a dynasty league.
That's no good.
I'm lucky that there was even a startable quarterback waiting for me on the waiver wire. That's how bad it gets. All 32 are gone. So anyway, I'm gonna have to do this year's punishment. I think it's looking like I'm gonna be in last place as of this moment.
And what is this last place punishment?
Well,
I
it
didn't
used to be
realize your league had that.
Well, it used to be the Waffle House punishment, but now for this year, because we're doing an in-person draft party in Denver, I believe the punishment is something to the effect of dressing up as a cheerleader and running an NFL combine drill in front of everybody else while we get heckled and cheered.
And of course, this is going to be caught on camera, correct?
I'm sure it will be. I won't be the one filming it. So I got to get
contact information of your league mates.
I am not going to.
Just for informational purposes.
I'm not going to be providing that to you. That's not what I'm going to be doing.
I know a certain co-clown's wife who is, I'm sure, just thrilled that this draft. Because when is this draft again?
I feel a sudden need to stop saying words. It'll be even worse. It's the weekend immediately following my wife and I's anniversary. That's how bad it's going to be. That's how bad this is for the whole household. So, yeah,
I'm sure she'd be more than thrilled to provide a little of entertainment for your co-clown, given the timing of this in-person draft and your anniversary. And I'm sure there was no infighting, of course, in the Smith household over this. And this is all peachy keen, as they say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No conversations, no resistance, no whatsoever. Just, you want to have a fantasy football draft during our anniversary? Yeah, that's fine, babe. That's exactly how it went. Yeah. We've deviated a long ways now, but thank you for letting me get these complaints off my chest. And I suddenly, I'll be honest with you, I think I feel worse than I did when I started. So maybe I should have just left that off.
That, sir, is why you are a head member of the Football Clown Anonymous group.
You are absolutely right.
Speaking of disappointment, let's go ahead and recap these games this week. Full of disappointment all over the place. I'm not even really sure where we should start. Watson done forever is kind of an interesting one. I don't know if we're necessarily disappointed by that, but I will say I know we don't like Voldemort. We don't like Deshaun for human being reasons. But to see a dude tear his ACL and then see all the videos of all the fans cheering him and all that fun, or cheering his injury or booing him or whatever it was.
It's sick.
It's sick. I was like, it's not a great look. Not a great feeling, bro.
I don't know any Cleveland Browns fans, but doesn't this kind of feel a little bit Cleveland Browns fan-y to you? I don't know. Maybe I'm asking the wrong guy because you're an Eagles fan and they similarly suck.
Yeah, it's pretty much par for the course for an Eagles fan, but it just was a little gross, I guess.
It's cringy.
I saw the little speech or statement that Jameis Winston made. First of all, that man probably has to teach a course in public speaking, because I don't know what it is about him, but he's one of the most eloquent people I've ever heard speak. But he sounded off on the fans, and gave his 2 cents about that whole situation. So Sean done for the year. I do like your note. Done forever? ?
Yeah, it's kind of a done forever ? I mean, he's done for the year, obviously we know, but considering the situation and everything you said is absolutely true. We're never cheering for these guys to have season-ending injuries. We're never cheering for any of that. But you have to think, though, too, from a football performance standpoint, what you've seen from Deshaun Watson has very much been subpar. And that's all the excuse that the Cleveland Browns would need to move on from him. If he ever plays again, he would be a backup somewhere, either in Cleveland or somewhere else, most likely. They paid him way too much money in Cleveland.
Right.
It makes you wonder whether or not they'd give him another chance. But, man, after you have given him chance and chance again, How can you? I'm, it's terrible. I shouldn't be focusing on this when he just had a season-ending injury, but yeah, it definitely changes the paradigm.
No, I mean
Quite a
they
bit.
almost certainly, like the GM. I'm guessing the upper management. I'm sure in the back of their mind they're probably breathing a smidge of a sigh of relief in with respect to now we have an excuse to go to a different quarterback because he was not. I would have to imagine Stefanski. All those press conferences after the games talking about Deshaun's our quarterback. We have the best chance of winning a football game with Deshaun behind center. Come on, Doug. Like the only reason you're saying that is because you're being held hostage by the owner and the GM, I'm sure.
Very much
Otherwise, you
so.
would never ever say that because there's no way, bro.
How can you
Um,
how can you look at that if we're keeping it a $150? How can you
yeah,
look at the situation and look at your own team that you just coached and say that that's true? It's
right,
wild.
right, and it's just not. And one thing, however, that I thought was a little interesting is I saw that DTR was the second stringer over Jameis, which I don't really know what to make of that because I could have swore Jameis was supposed to be the second string quarterback for behind Deshaun, but guess not. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves over the next week to see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would imagine that Jameis Winston far and away gives them a better chance of winning a football game compared to
right.
DTR. I can't. So as a non-football coach, as the armchair quarterback, if you will, or the armchair coach, I can't imagine why they wouldn't put in Jameis Winston for the starting quarterback. Now maybe they won't, but it's actually kind of crazy to me to think that he wouldn't be the default backup. Like he's good enough to start on a handful of teams, and has just been relegated to be a backup quarterback. So
Right.
he's a serviceable option at quarterback. I mean, the division's long gone. Your season's probably long gone at this point. But
Mm-hmm.
you got to think that if you got any shot of going on a run, it's got to be with Jameis Winston.
100%. Speaking of disappointing injuries and interesting backup quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, man. I didn't see the play, but apparently he took a shot to the ribs and is week to week now. And Marcus Mariota coming in here balling out, but it was against the Panthers, so I don't know if that counts. How are we feeling about the Commanders moving forward?
I am. I like them a lot less without Jaden Daniels because I think that we were expecting the Commanders to be a slightly below average football team this year,
Right.
and Jaden Daniels decided he's great, and that has been the reason why they've been, at least for some of these teams, a buzzsaw. At least in some of these matchups. Without him, I think that they're that slightly below average team. You know, they're not the Carolina Panthers type of badness, if you will. Mariota looks pretty good, and I think he's a serviceable fill-in. But I am not super high on the Commanders without Jaden Daniels. But I'm curious if you agree with that.
I do. However, I'm looking at this box score. Mariota was 18 for 23, 205 and 2. Took the, what is it, 11 carries for 34 yards. I mean, Panthers are that's not too shabby of a stat line.
No, it's not, but it is really hard to trust that when it's the Carolina Panthers because I think you learn nothing about a team. I think by when they do the Panthers nasty.
Right.
I think that was the case. I think we had a show note from a week or two ago where we were like the Falcons kicked the shit out of the Panthers, and we were saying we still know nothing about the Falcons. And now take a look at the Falcons. Oh wait, yeah, they still suck. So the Panthers game was not a valid temperature check, I don't think.
Right.
From that standpoint. So neither is it for
Yeah.
Mariota. That being said, coming in without taking first team reps at practice all week and putting up a good stat line, it's respectable, but we'll see what happens. They've got a tough matchup this week against Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Right.
And,
I'm a little sad that Daniels is not going to be present for that game because that would have been a must-watch game. The two rookies going crazy. Both of them are balling out, having a hell of a start to their season.
The one and two pick, we were robbed. We were deprived of that satisfaction. I think it would have been awesome. It went from a top 3 game to pretty uninteresting, I think, very quickly. It could. I
I,
mean, we'll see. The line's going to keep moving. I think the Bears were 2.5 last I saw, and I'm sure they'll keep creeping as these next couple days wear on. But
I'm sure.
yeah,
But
I know you also want to talk. Speaking of quarterback sadness, I know that you want to talk about you have one highlighted here, but I'm going to go to the next one. The Anthony Richardson and the Colts. What have you seen here from the Anthony Richardson performance that would make you think that they shouldn't be starting Joe Flacco?
again, I didn't watch any football on Sunday because I was otherwise preoccupied. But looking at the box score, 10 for 24 for 129. So basically, Richardson just back to his regularly scheduled program of being horribly inaccurate. I'm assuming. I mean, I don't know how the hell you get to only 10 completions of 14 incompletions and then 14 carries for 56 yards. You know, he's what everybody thought Lamar was going to be. He's a running back that just so happens to throw the football. I I I mean, the only reason they won this game and are surprising 4-3. And other fun fact, the game that they have coming up against the Texans, I'm pretty sure is for first in the division, which is fucking wild to say because the Colts have been piloted by Joe Flacco, to your point, who has been balling out and probably should be the starting quarterback of the Colts if they want to, keep their playoff hopes alive moving forward.
Yeah, they're probably just going to be limping here down through the middle of the season and literally just shoot their chances of a playoff run in the foot if
Right.
they continue with Richardson. But it's hard because Flacco's old, washed up, and you paid all this money to Richardson or to bring in this guy to be your quarterback. It's hard because I think it's easy for us to say, it's easy for us to say you got a guy on your team who's better than this guy, right? But if with the proper care and nurturing, you think that, Richardson can be that guy, you want to make sure that you give yourself a chance in the future, but it's still hard as an unbiased NFL fan to watch these situations where it's like, clearly you should be playing somebody else, but is that the long-term move? Then Joe Flacco decides I'm old, I suck, and I'm going to retire now. Now you're left with nobody.
Right.
I don't know what you do. It's
Right.
These decisions are above my pay grade, but
let's also not forget that Jonathan Taylor is still nursing that ankle. I would imagine when he gets back, that'll probably change the math a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know because I mean, you got to think the dual threat of Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. It's poor man's Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. So I don't know. It does change the math a little bit. I just don't. It's hard seeing those passing stat lines and thinking that Richardson is the answer. And on the other side of the ball, speaking of answers, I think Tua's injury has done more to solidify his case as the most important piece for that Dolphins offense than anything he has ever done on the field.
That's a very interesting statement, but I would not be able to disagree with it.
It's absolutely. I'm looking at the Miami receivers right now. Jonnu Smith, 7 targets. Jonnu Smith is a tight end who's getting up there in age. He's had some good years. He's a serviceable tight end. Nobody to sneeze at. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Odell Beckham Jr. 6 targets combined. That's unacceptable.
How is this even possible?
Unacceptable. That's absolutely ridiculous. We have both Tyler Huntley and Tim Boyle, 13 passes each. Yeah, Tyler Huntley threw a touchdown for you. That's exciting. On 87 yards passing.
Wasn't horrible. Higher quarterback. Just a fantasy note: a quarterback has a shitty quarterback has a higher floor than pretty much any flex player. So that was my rationale for throwing him in the super flex spot. It wasn't great,
yeah.
but
you have to, yeah. It's just, yeah. That Dolphins team, I think, quite simply, just needs Tua back in the worst way. I do think if he's back on Sunday against the Cardinals, we see a very, very different Dolphins team. I'm sure it'll show a little signs of rust, but I would bet that they're able to do something on offense. I'm just guessing. I don't know. We'll see.
Can the Dolphins make the playoffs this year with Tua being back?
What's the standings?
I'm ready for you to make a binary statement here so that I can roast you later.
They're sitting at the 10 seed at 2-4.
I think to be honest with you, I think the answer is yes. There's enough weakness in the AFC below the top few teams.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, because I'm looking at 6, 7, 8, 9, Chargers, Colts, Broncos, Bengals. I'm pretty confident they could definitely get over the hump or take over the Colts and Broncos. Bengals and Chargers might be a little tougher, but yeah, I mean it's definitely a possibility, but
well, and they got to play a couple more games. They got to play a couple more games in that other than the Bills shit division. So
yeah. So I will say yes, it is possible. No, it's not probable. Yeah, and they got a tough stretch down the tough slate down the end. So they got the Bills one more time, Jets, Texans, Niners, Jets twice in the back half of the season.
Jets
yeah,
twice. Wait, hang on. Jets twice in the back half of the season. Those are both victories. The Jets are what? The Jets?
I don't know, bro. I understand.
You don't know, bro. You don't know. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go.
I don't know, bro.
We have a new hot dog in New York, and his name is Aaron fucking Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, who destroyed, I never got to this point. Aaron Rodgers, who torpedoed a teaser leg for me by not even being able to keep it close. You signed Devontae Adams, his old buddy. You got to keep the game close for your clown. And he blew it. And it's just one more reason why Aaron Rodgers is unforgivable in my mind forever and ever. They suck. They're awful. And in case I didn't mention this already, they suck. They will lose. The Dolphins with Tua can beat them twice.
I'm having a hard time arguing against this. On paper, you see that Jets offense and you're like, nah, they should be able to do something. You see the defense and they should be able to do something. But to put up the performance they just did against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, like Tomlin said, I mean, that's why he's well compensated. I don't know if you saw the little sound bite, but basically a reporter asked him, he was like, something. How do you feel about your decision, or was playing Russell Wilson one of the riskiest decisions of your coaching tenure, or something along those lines? And he was like, that's why they paid me or that's why I'm well compensated, and just walked off the stage. I was like, bro.
Mike Tomlin is an awesome coach.
Hashtag that guy.
He absolutely is. And it's I'm sure that Russell Wilson will have a bit of a renaissance, if you will, in Pittsburgh after what we saw last night. That being said, after watching him for the last 2 years in Denver and seeing how bad the Jets looked compared to Russell Wilson, it's really hard for me. What's that?
I need to see it again.
No, I need to see it again, but I'm just saying for n=1 data point, that to me is how bad the Jets are. That was really where my point was going with that. With Russell Wilson, you can't even do this against a guy who was floundering, whose career had basically just went into a tailspin. And now, even this guy looks good against you is kind of wild to me. It's still a good defense, but man, they are in trouble in New York.
I am inclined to agree with you. And Hot Dog Wilson, Bratwurst Wilson?
We can upgrade him temporarily. One game, we can upgrade him to Bratwurst. I don't know what's above Bratwurst. Do we just go to like a regular quarterback at that point, or
I think so. I don't know. So. I'd probably say Italian sausage myself because I'm a big fan of Italian sausage. But
what about like a Wiener Schnitzel or something like that from Bavaria or something? I don't know. I'm going off the deep end now.
Yeah, I could not even tell you what that tastes and or looks like.
I have been to Austria a couple of times. That type of food is delicious to me. I can only
very subtle flex.
I can only
very
speak
subtle flex there.
One of the trips was paid by work, which was also a bit of a flex. But it's always a fun time, always
Yes,
a fun
sir.
time. Hey, I've got a
And
question. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say on tap for Bratwurst Wilson is a trip. No, actually, I think that's at home. It is at home with the New York Giants. So,
This is your reward for good behavior. Now you
yeah,
get
right.
someone to kick the shit out of, and that's actually, you know what? It works out well. We were on the same brainwave because that was my segue to asking you: are the Eagles back to form?
I don't know. Jalen Hurts is still taking way too many sacks, but that run game is nasty. Saquon Barkley, I know that had to feel really good, going crazy on the team that was like, you know what? I want to build a team around Hot Dog Jones and not Saquon Barkley. That sounds like a good idea. Only for that man to get benched because he took 7 sacks for 56 yards. Running game did nothing. Drew Lock had the longest run of the day. Saquon Barkley 17 for
Your
176 and a touchdown.
When your
Come
backup
on.
quarterback has the longest run of the day, that is very telling.
It's not great.
Something went horribly wrong in this game for the
Yeah.
Giants. And so yeah, that's my question. It's always so hard in a one game situation, but you got the Eagles who go in and just kick the shit out of this team. Now they should have. And the Eagles we've come to appreciate for the last couple of years up until about a year ago. That's the Eagles team that I think that we've been expecting to see. And so that's why I ask, I mean, is it just an aberration because the Giants are such a dumpster fire? Or
I think yes to both. So I think the Eagles should be 5-1 right now. They shouldn't have lost that game to the Falcons, but they're sitting at 4-2. I mean, their record is what we expected. I don't think it's been the prettiest offense. The way the offense looks right now, I think the same conversation could be had about the Eagles that we're having about the Chiefs or the Texans, which we'll get to. The offense doesn't look great, but they're still winning football games and still very much in the playoff mix. So it's nice to see, and you do expect them to kick the shit out of the their weaker opponents, but I I'm not gonna. I need to see it more against teams that are respectable. I do think this game coming up against the Bengals should be an interesting litmus test, and we'll be talking about that later. But that should be an interesting one for both of those squads, actually.
that might be the temperature check of the week, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
That's going to be actually really interesting. So it'll be interesting if it was just a one game thing, or if you can kind of duplicate that at that point.
right.
And you also wanted to talk about CJ Stroud and his beautiful 10 for 21 stat line passing, and yet they somehow almost beat the Packers at Lambeau Field in what was really an exciting game. It seemed a couple of turnovers for Jordan Love and a muffed punt in that game that made things really, really close. But you have something you need to say right now. You need to get this. You need to inject this.
49-yard touchdown by Lamar to Rashad Bateman to put the Ravens up after the field goal, 27-10. It's quickly getting out of hand.
That is getting way out of hand.
Yep.
The Bucks were up 10-0 in this game. This is like a blueprint for the Bills and Titans game that you were at. Take a 10-point lead and then just get stomped.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, it's getting out of hand. The Ravens are almost it really is hard to deny that they probably are the best team in the NFL. I really like the Lions too. I think that they're an excellent team. Even without Aiden Hutchinson, they can still get it done.
Yeah, so let's speed past the Texans then real quick. The only reason they were in this game, it seems, is because Joe Mixon was showing his ass. 25 carries for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just having a wonderful day, and he's been having a hell of a season himself, actually, when he's been on the field. It's just Jordan Love, hashtag, well, let's not even say Jordan Love. It's just the NFC North. Just can't be beaten unless you're playing another NFC North team. And let's get to the real game that we want to talk about. Vikings-Lions, man. Go ahead.
Shit.
Talk to me, man.
That shit was an excellent game. If I step out of my fandom shoes for just a moment, what an awesome game. It was exactly what we expected it to be. It was a shootout type of game. It was back and forth the whole time. It was, the Vikings got off to a hot start, and it's exactly what we expected too, just to complain a little, because what I was saying going into this game last week was the Vikings have the last 2 weeks before that was a game at Lambeau and then a game in London against the Jets. And both of those games, they took off to an early lead, and then they had a hard time putting the team away, and they still managed to do it, but they really struggled to do it. And I said, Detroit is not going to give them that chance. And that is exactly what happened. Now, I will say Lions had a 5-point lead late in the game and the football, and the Brian Flores defense said, fuck your chips, strip sacked Montgomery and took it to the house. 1-point lead. Of course, you screw up the 2-point conversion. Why would you not? Then Vikings got the ball back, put on a masterclass for how you can't close out a game. Let's run twice between the tackles. They'll never see it coming. Gain like 2 yards total. Absolutely horrible. Then you throw an incomplete pass and stop the clock. Jared Goff now has 3 minutes to work with, and I think at that time they were down to 1 or 0 timeouts at that point. But you give him 3 minutes to work with, and you play prevent defense. Smart. Very, very smart. Give up these big chunk plays to lose the game. So as a fan, ultra pissed. I was thinking about this, though. I actually think for the Vikings' sake, it's good that they lost this game, because I think it might have actually been more dangerous down the stretch if they had won this game, because they're a little bit too unstoppable in their own heads, I think, at this point. And importantly, they have a soft spot on the schedule now. They have the Rams, they have the Colts, they have the Cardinals, and one other team I'm not thinking of right now. But these next 4 games are cupcake type of games, at least compared to NFC North standards. So you should still be in a really good position with if you're lucky, 1 loss,
right?
Maybe 2. But having lost this game gives you a little bit of that fire.
Right.
So I honestly, but as a fan, it was hard. The NFL fan in me absolutely loved the game. It was awesome. It was everything that we wanted to say, or everything we wanted to see. The Lions are the best team in the NFC. The Vikings might be the second best team in the NFC, but only one team gets a bye, and only one team can win the division, and it's probably going to be Detroit at this point.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to need to find somewhere to rewatch this game, because it definitely looked like it lived up to everything it was supposed to be. Jared Goff is he's doing something crazy this year.
He's that guy. He was great last year. He's magical.
I'm pretty sure I saw a stat earlier. He's thrown 18 touchdowns this season and has 15 incompletions. He's thrown 18 touchdowns this season and has thrown 15 incompletions.
That seems wrong, but also right at the same time, considering what we know about him.
Well, I mean, shit, this game, 22 of 25. He had the perfect game. I think it was last week or the week before. Man, there's something going on, something special brewing in Detroit. I would have to imagine the fans in that city are unreasonably excited for the this might be our season, this might be our year type of chatter. How could you not, man? Just the offense going crazy. Defense, I mean, I agree that loss, that Aiden Hutchinson loss, hopefully doesn't come back to bite them in the ass, but man, the way that offense is clicking, I don't think it's going to matter too much.
They're the best team from the best division. That's what it is, and they deserve probably to get the 1 seed. It's way too early to be talking about playoff seeding, I think, but Vikings are going to have a really hard time reclaiming that from them. The Packers look really good. The Bears look really good. It's such a fun division to be a part of, I think, right now. And I'm just glad that we're not the, like the 1-5 team,
the scrubs,
the scrubs above among the other ones. It's really fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. Vikings actually have a short week. They play the Thursday night game, so we'll see how we'll see how that treats them. But
right, I think Cooper Kupp's coming back, so that one should be maybe a little more interesting than we would have initially thought. But I would still expect a Vikings W.
I would expect it, but I hate feeling like I would expect it. It's a dangerous place to be as a fan.
Right.
So,
speaking of expecting W's, we both expected the 49ers to win. Oops.
Patrick Mahomes is Brock Purdy's dad. At this point, Brock Purdy is Patrick Mahomes' son. How else can you look at it? Like, Brock Purdy is an awesome. I really like him as a quarterback. He threw 3 picks in that game, and it's kryptonite. At a certain point, it was a home game for the Niners.
It's crazy because I remember following along with the box score with that, and Mahomes had thrown 2 picks, and they were still winning. I was like, what's going on right now, man? I'm confused how the Chiefs are doing everything in their power to fuck up and are still winning.
They're 6-0. They've had a habit of that in most of these games. They've tried really hard to lose a lot of these games, and they're still 6-0. It's mind-boggling to me, really.
Right. I bet if the Chiefs did not have Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, the NFL community would probably be besides themselves with that Chiefs defense and what they're doing, because that's got to be 83% of the reason of why why the Chiefs are continuing to win, even as their offense just kind of hangs out. I don't really know how to explain it. It's weird. Like, it's not impressive by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Mahomes is throwing interceptions all over the place. It's got to be one of the worst years for him in terms of interceptions or touchdown to interception ratio. Probably all of his stats across the board are got to be career worst at this point. If I had to guess, I don't know, but they continue to win, and
yeah, it's kind of amazing to me because I think we had kind of expected the Chiefs to. I mean, no one's going to say the Chiefs aren't three-peating at this point because we can name a couple of better teams in the NFL, I think, than the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they're 6-0. You can name a couple better teams, but I'm not going to say they're not going to three-peat because I've seen Patrick Mahomes play in the playoffs too many times. That being said, we expected them to get off to a slow start, I think, this year, and they're still winning all these games. You've noticed you commented on the sort of sputtering of the stat lines. Mahomes has got some dings in the armor, it seems like, in terms of his perfection. If he gets better than that, this team could then ascend to that unbeatable level as we go down the stretch, which is what we expect. We expected them to get better as the season goes on again. You come off from the Super Bowl, kind of, 2-time Super Bowl champions. We expected the Ravens to come in and beat them. The Chiefs won. Inexplicably, they won that game. And we expected them to lose this game too. They're not going to go 17-0. But who are they going to lose to? I mean, I don't know what to do and say at this point. It's a privilege to watch them because they always find ways to win. It's also annoying because they're kind of the new Patriots. So I don't know, mixed feelings.
Yeah. I mean, they did beat the Ravens week 1, but the Ravens are still figuring themselves out. They've got the Buccaneers coming up in a couple of weeks, the Bills in a few weeks after that. I mean, there should be some losses in here. It's just,
but you can't find them. You can't go ahead and pick them. It'll probably be like the Titans or something. They'll just completely sleepwalk through a whole game, or something like that. That'll be the loss. It's amazing.
And Derrick Henry with his signature "I'm just taking off" run. It's crazy how big that man is, and he could just leave linebackers.
So
just scampered for like a 70-yard run.
You just told me that Lamar threw a touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman, and then like we talked about, like 2 games, and now Derrick Henry's making plays. How did they get the ball back?
Because Baker Mayfield's not doing anything anymore.
Lord.
Yeah, this is getting ugly quick in Tampa.
Boy, oh boy.
Speaking of getting ugly, shall we do Clowns of the Week?
Let's do it.
You wanna kick us off here?
I can. I expect mine maybe to be a little less interesting than yours, so we'll kick it off. So my clown of the week is a football team that has been a complete and utter dumpster fire for a couple of years now, and there have been a couple of those. There have been a couple of those teams, but I feel like this one has just been head and shoulders above the rest in terms of the dumpster firedness that is coming out of this. So you draft the quarterback, number 1 overall, that's going to lead you to the promised land. Your team sucks, so you fire your coach, and the team still sucks, but you just decide, okay, well, this season was a loss, but you already traded away your pick to get that guy, and next season you come back in and you start the same guy again. This guy is Bryce Young, who still sucks. Then you bench Bryce Young. Then you decide we're going to put in Andy Dalton, who comes in and one game he's good. And now the team looks exactly the same way as it did before. You got your ass handed to you by the Washington Commanders, even though their quarterback got hurt. You have answered no questions whatsoever about the future of your organization. You have continued to prove time and time again there is no one problem. It's not the coach. It's not the quarterback. It's just something much, much bigger than this. I can't put my finger on it. But the Carolina Panthers are my clown of the week this week for getting their absolute ass handed to them by the Washington Commanders without Jaden Daniels, and proving once and for all there are much bigger problems than any one particular player, coach, or anything. And now you have absolutely nothing. What do? Do you put Bryce Young back in now at this point, knowing that Andy Dalton isn't the answer? What do you even do? I don't even know what you do. You're fucked. That's it. I'm done. You can feel free.
Yeah, I just want to add a little note for you. Bryce Young, when he came into the game, went 2 of 2, completed 2 passes of 2 attempts for -4 yards. So, yeah, I think with the fall of Voldemort, I think it is safe for us to go back and change or revert our default clown of the week back to the Carolina Panthers until further notice. Yeah, because
I can't think of a better place to put that. Crown of the clown crown. I don't know, something like that.
It kind of works.
We'll work on
it. We'll workshop it. Also,
absolutely.
You should have let me trade you Mark Andrews. You're going to get an honorary clown of the week because he now has 2 touchdowns today. Goofball.
Yeah, I probably should have taken him, but you were trying to value him the same as Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know, man. It's a little much.
Wow. One of them is getting me 2 touchdowns, and the other one is doing what?
He's going to come back in and be a dog.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking of, where's the segue? Not a great segue in here, but we'll move on to my clown of the week here. My clown of the week is going to be, I don't have any fun intro today. My clown of the week is going to be any football team that calls MetLife Stadium home. The New York Jets got Devontae Adams just to have Breece Hall lead the team in receptions and receiving yards. The ineptitude of the Jets offense is kind of astonishing. I don't understand how you can have Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson. Let's even throw Alan Lazard in there because he's been having a great season. The rookie they have at running back is great. I mean, the offensive line is a little questionable, but I mean, all of those offensive weapons, and you put up 15 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers and have Russell Wilson in there looking like he's the Hall of Fame quarterback that he once was. Come on, dog. That Jets defense out here getting taken to school by Russell Wilson? Come on, man. You can't do that. That's kind of embarrassing, man. After what he was doing in Denver, and then the Giants, they have a GM that thought it was a good idea to build around Hot Dog Jones instead of Saquon Barkley. That's crazy. He's like, we're not going to build. We don't have a $40 million quarterback so that we can hand it off to a $12 million running back. We can't do that, bro. That $40 million quarterback has done nothing to show you that he was worth that $40 million outside of winning against a fluke of a Vikings team in the playoffs. And then Saquon Barkley has been the lifeblood of that team since he got drafted in whatever year it was. Yeah, I don't know the year, but since he was drafted, he's been the life force of the New York Giants. And for you to just toss him aside as if he was worthless to your division rival, come on, bro. MetLife
Rest,
Stadium teams, clowns of the week. Get out of here.
rest in peace, the New York Giants. Rest in
Just
peace, the New York Jets as well.
terrible, man. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Yeah, it's a tough draw. We beat the Jets to death in this episode, but they absolutely deserve it.
They
I guess
do.
we beat both of them to death a little bit, but
I mean, they both are 2-5. They both deserve it. They both
yeah.
just flailing, just like not great, man. Not great. And the Jets, like, if this doesn't work, from what I understand, they've pretty much mortgaged their future to try and get the Super Bowl. So if this doesn't work, their ability to rebuild moving forward is not great. I'm sure Rodgers isn't sticking around after this, so the Jets fan base will quickly find themselves right back into the dark ages. You hate to see it, but you also love to see it because fuck the Jets.
You'd love to see it if you hate Aaron Rodgers, which I do. So that doesn't bother me.
Right. All right, man. Let's break down our games of the week here. Where are we starting?
I think we should start with we alluded to this one already, but we should start with your Eagles visiting the Bengals.
Oh man, yeah. So this is going to be a fun game. So let's see. Vegas has the Bengals favored by 3 points. Over under. Yeah, I don't know about all that.
That is a wild line. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah,
keep going. That shit is so dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember when I saw that, I was like, I don't know about that one, big fella.
Nope.
But yeah, okay. So over under 47.5. That makes a little bit of sense to me. We both have the Eagles winning. Ren, you got them winning 23-17. I've got a 27-24 game. If you kind of think about these teams, they do kind of feel like carbon copies of each other, ish. Both teams have a nice duo of receivers, decent tight end play. Offensive line is a little questionable for both because of injuries with respect to the Eagles. The Eagles' running game is what I think is going to separate these two teams because both of their defenses are looking pretty suspect right now. So I think the fact that the Eagles have Saquon Barkley is going to be what ultimately decides this game. But other than that, I mean, young quarterbacks that are looking okay, but are definitely not performing up to the level that we are used to.
They may not be answering all the questions that they need to answer in this season either. After having some decent success in the past. I like your comparison here. This is actually really interesting.
Right. I think, and that's why I think this will be a great heat check for both teams because you're staring yourself in the mirror, with some minor differences here and there. And I think the reason that Philly is going to take this game is going to be because of their ability to control the clock with, Hurts and Barkley on the ground. If you could keep it out of Joe Burrow's hands and have Jamar and T tearing up that defense, if you could prevent that or minimize that damage, I think that's the key to success here. Otherwise, I would not be surprised if, for whatever reason, the Bengals win the time of possession game. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are both going for probably about 273 yards each because the Eagles' defense has shown me nothing to suggest that they can stop those two on the outside. We'll see, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting game in that, I mean, you already hit all the key points, but I just don't think that anyone deserves to really be favored in this game. I would say it's more of a pick-em type of game. The Bengals have not shown me anything this season to suggest that they're an elite football team. And I'm not saying that the Eagles necessarily have either, short of, kicking the shit out of the New York Giants, and they suck. But I just don't see a 3-point favorite here for the Bengals. They have not answered enough questions, and they're still teetering on the edge of tailspin sort of situation for me here too. They were giving up a backdoor opportunity onside kick to the Cleveland Browns without their starting quarterback. Yeah, it doesn't. And let's go all the way back to week 1 where they lost to the New England Patriots at home. Like, we can't forget about that. I know it was early in the season and rust is being shaken off and all of that, but can't forget about that. That's the same team. And so I like the Eagles in this game in a spot where, I like the Eagles with the points for sure, in a spot where they're getting points, because I just don't think that they should be getting points. If anything, it should be about a pick 'em, or maybe even the Eagles should be favored by a point or two. So good value with this one.
Strong agree.
Yeah. There's actually, and I'll just make a note too. There's a couple of games this week. I think I've seen the largest favorites in this game, or in this week, that I've seen so far in the NFL this year. The Lions and the Lions are favored by 11 points over the Titans, which is probably deservingly so. One game I want to talk about really quick is this Dallas and San Francisco game. I think this must be the Sunday night game based on where they have this position in the sheet here. I can't. So, okay, the 49ers just lost to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a good football team, and Patrick Mahomes is Brock Purdy's dad. So, to me, the 49ers are still a good football team. How can you name the Dallas Cowboys clown of the week, then they go on a bye, and now they come out of the bye, and you have the Dallas Cowboys going into San Francisco and winning 27-17? Can you walk me through the sequence of events that gives you this pick?
Yes. So I did originally have this flip-flopped where I had the Niners winning 27-17, and I decided to change this because I saw the reports today. Ayuk is done for the year, torn ACL. C-Mac still not playing. Deebo Samuel got admitted to the hospital with pneumonia. He's got fluid in his lungs. George Kittle, I think, is dealing with an ankle, I saw, or some lower body, injury. That leaves Juwan Jennings, who I believe was not playing this week because of injury, and I don't recall off the top of my head what he was dealing with. I want to say it was a hamstring, but I don't remember. And then and we're just talking about receiver. And then Ricky Pearsall, the rookie, who I think played his first game this past weekend because he was recovering from a gunshot wound. I don't see where the offensive production is going to be coming from if literally the entire offense is out except for Brock Purdy. Purdy's been having a great start to his career. He's not going to be able to overcome that. I don't care who you're playing. Well, I would care who you're playing, but you're not overcoming that against the Dallas Cowboys. That's just not happening. And the Niners defense has not done enough to suggest to me that they will be able to keep that offense, or keep the Niners in the game with those limitations on offense. And, the Cowboys are coming off the bye. They have an extra week to prepare for this Niners team that is just hitting a really rough patch in their season. So you got to give it to the Cowboys. That 5-point, and I checked right before we started recording. The line did move down to -5 from 5.5, so it is starting to cheat towards the Cowboys. But it's just too far in favor of the Niners with all that in consideration.
That is all very fair. I just have seen so little from the Cowboys that I absolutely just can't do it. I feel like they're just a cornucopia of failure right now at every possible moment that they can find. You're right. They could win this game. It's just, I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't care how many injuries you've got. I'll believe it when I see it that the Cowboys can do it. They are in the penalty box for me, as they say, until further notice. They got their ass handed to them, and I know Detroit's good, but they got embarrassed by Detroit. And I am starting to wonder whether they're a good football team after the lack of offseason acquisitions, their lack of a running game, the issues that Dak is having, and the offensive line issues that they're having. And you have something to comment on for the current game?
Yeah, I do. So, holy shit. So Lamar just tried to throw a backwards pass to, I think it was Zay Flowers. Uh, Zay did not catch it. It was behind him, so he didn't catch it. It ended up being a fumble. The Buccaneers player picked it up and just got pushed 30 yards to score a touchdown. I'm guessing it's going to get called back because of contact on the ground, but yeah, because his knee is down. But that was absolutely ridiculous to see.
That
It's not gonna matter because again the Ravens are cleaning up house right now. But yeah, that was kind of a wild play.
this Bucks team is a 4-2 team. They're playing with a lot of mojo and confidence. They come into this game and they're getting their ass handed to them. The Ravens they're here to party. Let's be real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's speaking of the Bucks, why don't we talk about that Falcons Buccaneers game? You want to take this one, and I'll take the Bills Seahawks.
Yeah. That works out. So I've got so this is the Falcons visiting the Buccaneers. I've got the Bucks winning 27-17. Kurtis has them winning 28-24. Vegas thinks that Buccaneers are favored by 3 points, and the over/under is 48 points. So I think I've got 44 points. Kurtis has 52 points, so the 48 points is right in the middle. We're kind of dancing around that number right there. But we both got the Bucks winning a reasonably convincing game. Obviously, this can change based on what we're seeing in this particular Monday Night Football game, currently in progress, where they're getting their ass handed to them. But the Falcons, I think going into this season, we thought that they were overhyped, and I think we're finally starting to see the proof of that, I guess, kind of coming into this. You build this great roster around Kirk Cousins, and you just kind of expect it to work, and all of these sort of odds makers were putting the Falcons at minus 150 or 200 minus whatever to win the division kind of thing. Just you put all these pieces in place, they have to be good, and it's just, I don't know, it feels a little bit it felt a little bit too much. It felt a little cobbled together. We're starting to see that now with the Falcons getting their ass handed to them by the Seahawks just this last week. I have to imagine that the Bucks are going to lose this game to the Ravens, and I also have to imagine that this is a bounce back game then for the Buccaneers to come and really show this Falcons team who is in front in this division. And moreover, we can't forget a week or two ago, the Falcons and Buccaneers matchup that they played in Atlanta, where it really should have gone to the Bucks, and the crazy overtime thriller, Kirk Thuggins throwing for 500 yards. The Bucks want revenge on that one, and I think that they're going to get it in this game.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree with all of that. The only thing that now gives me pause as of the second quarter of this game is Mike Evans is probably not going to play in this game against the Falcons because he left with a hamstring injury and he was ruled out pretty quick. I mean, he had a pretty significant limp to him, so I don't feel great about that. And pretty much since that happened is approximately when the Bucks offense started to sputter and stall out. I mean, Chris Godwin's having himself a great season, so he can certainly do some damage on his own. But Mike Evans is it's a Hall of Fame receiver. I mean, that's a pretty big piece to lose. I think I would still probably take the Buccaneers, but I don't feel quite as confident about it as I used to.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and that's the poison pill with recording when we do on Monday night is these injuries can happen. And,
Right.
We had a Derek Carr get injured a couple weeks ago also, and that really moved a line in our favor. And just the same, they can move against us as well. I just don't think I like what I see from the Falcons as far as gelling together. They've got a lot of good pieces on that squad, and Drake London is having himself a hell of a year, and Kirk Cousins is still statistically playing well, just like he did, but especially against the Seahawks this last week, he did not pass the eye test, and I still think that the Bucks are a superior football team to them, even without Mike Evans. So we'll have to see how it goes. And then we have one more game we want to talk about. Kurtis, you want to talk about your Bills and Seahawks? Speaking of the Seahawks.
Yeah, so we've got Bills Seahawks. Vegas has the Bills favored by 3, over under of 48.5. We both have Buffalo winning. Bren, you've got a little closer at 23-20. I've got a little bit of I won't say a blowout, but I've got the Bills winning 34-24. I the Seahawks had themselves a nice bounce back game against the Falcons, but I think they just have too many question marks on defense to contend with a more threatening Bills team, especially with the addition of Amari Cooper. They've got one more week to work him into the fold or into the mix. I mean, he already had, I think it was 6 or 7 targets on week 1 with like 3 days of practice or whatever it was, and he already was able to get into the end zone. Running game looks crisp. Geno Smith is balling out, and he's been having a great season. And the Bills' defense is also pretty suspect itself. But I don't know, man. If Josh Allen gets is firing on all cylinders, that's a tough team to beat. And that's more or less all I'm working on.
Yeah, I agree with you. But Josh Allen doesn't always fire on all cylinders, and he is prone to making mistakes. And this is a difficult place to play football, especially when the Seahawks fans think that know that their team has a chance to compete this year. That's going to be a really difficult place to play, I think. And so I just expect it to be close. I absolutely think that the Bills are going to win this game. But just that first quarter or first half against the Titans even gives you the indication that you need that they're not just this Baltimore Ravens or Detroit Lions level of buzzsaw to just go in and cleanly execute a team that's been playing reasonably well. I mean, even you saw it against the Jets too. The Jets, we've been talking about how bad they are. Bills only beat them by 3 also. So that's kind of where my closeness comes from. But I'm absolutely not going to take this game away from the Bills after what they did yesterday to the Titans.
Also, quick note about Bucks Falcons. That game will that will be for first in the division. So that's going to have to be a must-watch game, I think. Because even without Evans, I mean, they'll be going at it. That's going to be a good game to watch.
I think it's going to be phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And that's actually, we both, and I don't know if you actually formally placed the play, but we took the Bucks plus 320 at the beginning of the season to win the division. And that, even if it doesn't happen, looks brilliant at this moment compared to the odds of, we're taking them at 4-1 odds. Got to think it's at least a coin flip, if not slightly favored towards the Bucks at this moment. So they win this game. That's going to put them in that position in the driver's seat.
Right. Yeah, I definitely feel good about that one for sure. But speaking of feeling good, you want to rattle off bets and let's get us out of here?
Let's do that. So Ren has a couple of bets this week, and this last week, Ren's teaser bets were really they haven't gotten to the Scholar yet, but Ren's bets were not good. So we're gonna go with a couple of teams here that are getting points in divisional chaos games. I've got the Patriots +7. I'm hoping that game moves to +7.5. We talked about the Jets being shitty. The Patriots are getting 7 points. They're getting a whole touchdown at home against a reeling Jets team. And Drake May showed some flashes in London last week. They're going to give him a little more time to prepare. He's not going to be jet lagged. They're going to keep this game close. The Browns are getting 10 points. I don't love this one now after watching what the Ravens are doing. The Browns are getting 10 points at home against the Ravens with Jameis. I'm assuming they're going to start Jameis Winston in this game. I don't think that's been formally announced yet at this point. It's a division game. A team getting 10 points at home in a division game, I'm going to take them every single time. I don't care who they're playing against. I have to do that. And then the last one is the Eagles +3. We talked about how that game makes absolutely no sense. And the Eagles are getting a field goal in that game against a team that they really shouldn't be underdogs against. So those are the 3 individual bets that I'm going to be placing for $1 each. Last week, the Scholar placed 6 parlay legs and is currently 4-1 in those parlay legs with the Arizona Cardinals still to finish. They are winning by 1. So this week, the Scholar puts back on his hat, and it's graduation time. We've graduated from 6 parlay teaser legs all the way down to 2 because there are not a lot of very good options this week. So we're going to put all of our eggs in one single basket. the Broncos -2 against the Carolina Panthers, because Panthers are the clown of the week. They're garbage.
Right.
And the Chargers are -1.5.
Default clown of the week for until further notice.
Absolutely. And the Chargers are -1.5 against the New Orleans Saints, who are also currently, and this is true, horse shit. So put these two together. I got $2 on it, and let's hope that this works out. I'm glad I got you on that one.
It sounded like you conducted a lot of thorough research to come to that conclusion.
I don't have any backing. I don't have any numbers or any science.
Oh shit! I don't know why that one got me.
All right, Kurtis, take us through. Take us through what you got.
I will say the only one that I don't agree with is that Browns +10. The Ravens have put up 30 points, I think, in each of the past like 3 or 4 weeks. They are an absolute buzzsaw right now. And while I've been a staunch, if the Cleveland Browns are playing in the game, take the under, this week I'm avoiding that because the Ravens are going to put up 30 by themselves. And I don't think I want to bet on a team only putting up 12 points. Especially when they're just going to be in comeback mode the whole game. So I don't know about that.
I hear what you're saying, but I can't take the other side. Like I know that the Ravens should win that game by a lot, but I can't take the other side. Like I can't take in good faith a road division team -10. I can't do it. But I hear where you're coming from. It doesn't pass the eye test, but just something's not right about it to me. So
it is a lot, but that's tough. But other games that I did want to target. So you talked about the Panthers Broncos game. I'm going to go ahead and take the under of 43 there. Panthers aren't scoring anything, and the Broncos are very content playing a nice old school defense. I'm gonna win with defense and just manage the game with the offense. That's a pretty easy under on 43 for me. New Orleans and Chargers, I'm going to go 39 and under the 39.5. The Chargers, very similar under Harbaugh, want to run the ball, control the clock. Low scoring games is their cup of tea. And I already touched on this earlier. Arizona, Miami, or maybe we talked about it offline, but I don't, just because Tua's coming back, I don't quite see where this 47.5 is coming from. The Cardinals have not shown any propensity to put up points, and neither of the Dolphins. I mean, even if Tua comes back, I don't think he's going to be playing. They're not going to be putting up an offense performance like these Ravens. There's no way they hit that 47.5. That's an easy under. That's 3 pretty easy unders for me to take. And let's go ahead and get that boy, the Oracle.
The Oracle, who fresh off a 3-for-4 parlay where he had the Patriots in London.
That one hurt. I don't understand where that Jags team came from because we haven't really seen them. That was disappointing. Is a little bit of an understatement. But since the Oracle is disappointed, he decided to go on a little bit of a redemption tour, similar to the teams that are in this week's parlay. All teams that have caught an L and will be bouncing back with a W this upcoming week. We've got money line wins. We've got money line bets for the Minnesota Vikings will beat the Los Angeles Rams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I had a sneaking suspicion they were going to get steamrolled by the Ravens. Check. So they're going to be bouncing back and beating the Falcons. I don't feel quite as good about that one with Mike Evans going out, but kind of want to keep it. It was either I had some trouble with some of these legs because I thought about putting the Cowboys in here, but the Eagles fan in me couldn't do it.
Careful.
Yeah, couldn't do that one. That one felt a little bold. And of course, we got the Texans going to go to work on Anthony Richardson and the Colts. I know that's another division game that I should probably stay away from, especially since the Texans looking a little suspect. But first of all, that game is for first in the division. You better show up to play. Second of all, don't lose to Anthony Richardson. Do not do that. That would be disgraceful. Texans taking that. all three of those teams are winning on Sunday. Let's fucking go.
Let's do it. I love the way that feels. And just the same, the Oracle's bouncing back himself.
That's right. This is a redemption tour parlay.
Love that. We got a good you got a good storyline here. I feel like that's usually the key to winning for the Oracle. You got to have a good storyline.
Right. I guess the Patriots didn't fit it last week. I don't know why, but I guess I put too much respect on their name instead of focusing on the disrespect of the Jaguars. You know, huh. There was a smudge on the crystal ball, I think, is what happened.
You can't say he's wrong. It's the crystal ball. That's the one.
That's right. Well,
all right, sir. Fun as always.
Yep. With that, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Spotify, email us at footballclownsanonymous@gmail. On YouTube and Spotify. That's where you're liking and commenting and subscribing.
Perfect. Send us an email. If you're still listening, good for you. You're probably the only one.
Yes, sir. All right, man.
All right. Take care.
Yep, peace.